Hey man, this is Chris of PhoneCats. Check out phonecats.com. You can pick up a cheap tablet, a cheap no-contract phone, or just a really good deal on some random accessories, like a Vans iPhone case, or this funky little book iPad case. Okay, in this vid we're talking about Mana Mastery, the new deck that just came out for Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalker 2013. What a mouthful of an intro. Okay, this is the most insane deck that I've seen in this entire game. The amount of control is ridiculous. You're playing 5 colors. I mean, when you're learning about Magic, people always tell you like, oh, you don't want to build a 5-color deck because you'll never get the right lands. But all they did was throw in 6 land grabs, 6 land grab lands, 4 rampant growths, and then 4 cultivates, and all of a sudden mana problems are a thing of the past. You'll still get that like 1 out of 10 hand where you just have none of the right cards and you just feel like a fool holding all green spells and then no forests, but normally you can just keep mulliganing until you get something. Okay, so let's get this poppin'. I'm going to try to keep this kind of light and fluffy, and mostly me just geeking out about the endgame cards, because that's what this deck is all about. The first couple turns, you're just going to be doing land grabs, rampant growths, and trying to control the field. God, there's so much to this deck. Okay, let's just go over some of the early game creature removal. You can play with Savage Twisters, which are just an X spell. 1 red, 1 green. That's always easy to get because you got a decent amount of forests. But when I look at it, I only have 5 forests right now, so maybe I do need to do some more tweaking. So that's some of the early creature control. Here's another weird version of control. There's 3 different charms. Here's Bant Charm. It's green, white, and blue. You can destroy an artifact, put a creature on the bottom of its owner's library, or counter target instant spell. Normally it's me throwing my opponent's biggest creature on the bottom of their library, but sometimes you might be able to counter that instant spell and have it be clutch, but I haven't had that situation happen yet. Well, we're still talking charmy. Here's Jund Charm. It's black, red, green. Exile on an opponent's graveyard. Basically Pyroclasm. Deal 2 damage to each creature, or put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. So another one where you have mass small creature removal, or a mini version of a giant growth. It's counters, or you can remove someone's graveyard before they start getting too crazy with some reanimates, rise from the deads, or I don't even know. Whatever blue has. You got a Lavalanche, it's your X spell. Black, red, green, X damage to target player and each creature they control, so it's a nice late game wipe. With all the land grabs like cultivates and rampant growths and land grabs, late game you can do a Lavalanche for like 10 or 12 isn't unrealistic. So much removal. You got Maelstrom Pulses, my god. Those are legit if you're dealing with tokens or if they actually get 2 Jace's Phantasms. More removal that I'm not even playing with. Vindicate. Destroy target permanent. You can light up their lands. It feels like right now everyone's playing this deck, so there's going to be a lot of mirror matches. So you can use Vindicates and light up whatever clutch land they have. Here's the one charm that I'm thinking about phasing out. Feel free to try to convince me in the comments to keep it in. Red, white, green. Red, green, white, rather. It deals 3 damage to target creature, return target card from a graveyard to owner's hand, or tap all creatures. Ah, that one seems good too. So it does a lightning bolt to a creature, returns anything from your graveyard to your hand, or like something akin to a fog. That one's important too. And I love Jund Charm with its Pyroclasm. And I like Bant Charm because it puts a creature on the bottom of the library. God, they're all so dope. And situational Swiss Army knives. Anyways, you can play with 1 Pernicious Deed, and it's your little powder keg version of wiping the entire board. Pretty legit. You got the option of playing with 3 Wrath of Gods or Day of Judgments, and those were one of the reasons that I took out all my forecasting cost creatures. Here they are, and they might be super pro in some builds, and I'm still kind of feeling this deck out. 4 mana for a 3/3. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So most turns you're going to be whopping them with a 6/6, and then late game you can get some crazy gold stackers going to where you're pumping them up to a 9/9 at least. Lightning Angel's legit. 4 mana for a 3/4, Flying, Vigilance, Haste. That's such a pro 3 combo. So you got a 3/4 that you can block with each turn and attack with, and attack the first turn that comes into play. Witchmaw Nephilim is kind of akin to the Glory Scale Viashino dude in that it's a 4 casting cost gold creature, and then every time that you cast a spell, it gets a buff. Instead of getting +3/+3 until end of turn, it gets +2/+2 permanently, and then it gets trample if it gets above 10. It's pretty neat. I took those out just because they seem kind of lightning bolt baity, and a lot of times I would just be wiping the board around their same time. Allied Strategies is a key part of this deck. There's going to be times when you might start to lose a little steam, and then you tap 5 and basically draw 5 cards. You draw a card for each basic land type. I wish it stacked so that if you had 2 of each, but it doesn't, but it's so cool. I mean, for a while I was playing with 3, and then I felt like I would be losing steam and end up top decking too much. Okay, from here on out, we're dealing with fatties. It's just all fatty fats. 5 mana for a 6/6 trampler. When this dies, destroy all non-land permanents. They can't be regenerated. You have the option of playing with 2 of those. And right now I took this All Sun's Dawn out. I basically swapped it out for that 4th Allied Strategies. We'll see if I stick with that. For each color, you return 1 card from your graveyard. So it's a little bit more endgame geared. And I think there were just one too many times where I would have this in like an early to mid-game situation and not really benefit it as much as if I had an Allied Strategies. So Child of Melara, you can play with 2 of those, and it's a nice little mind game kind of thing of like wiping the board. It'll put the creature decks in a halt. Maelstrom Angel, it's another 5 mana one. 5 mana for a 5/5 flyer. And when it deals damage to a player, you can cast a non-land card from your hand without paying its mana cost. The fattiest of fats that you can play after doing that is this beast that's not in my deck, but I have lost to it repeatedly, so it's already on my mind. Progenitus, 2 of each mana, 10/10, protects you from everything, and if it would be put into a graveyard, you put it back in the library. It can get Wrath of Godded, it can get Diabolic Edicted, and things like that. But yeah, let's keep this rolling. Can't believe we're already to this part of the deck. I feel like this is better pacing. Maelstrom Nexus, GG man, this card is so sick. Every time that you cast a card, it has Cascade. For the first spell that you cast each turn, this deck is making me learn more and actually be a better player instead of just like blindingly goblin grenading my way to victory. So let's say you have this out and it's your turn, you do something or let your opponent go. You can use this on your turn too. Like if you cast a Junt Charm or one of this deck's few instants. Prophetic Bolt is one. All the other ones are Junt Charms. But it'll cascade on your opponent's turn too. So late game you can be just speeding through your deck. It's so crazy. Broodmate Dragon, you can play with 2. I'm doing them both right now. It's 6 mana for a 4/4 flyer, and when it comes into play, you put a clone of it into play, another 4/4. It's nice. Normally your opponent will remove 1 and then have to deal with the other, so that's fine. Here's a Sphinx that kind of keeps this Cascade theme going. 7 mana for a 5/4 flyer, Cascade, and when it dies, or when it put into your graveyard from your battlefield, so that's kind of specific, but you put it in your library, 3rd from the top. So you know in the next couple turns you're going to hit it again, and that's cascading again, and it's just a nice card to keep drawing into. I'm trying out Karavak the Merciless. I don't know, normally it just gets removed and they end up taking some damage, but there are certain decks that aren't going to be able to deal with this. Actually, what's that little thing on top of his shoulder? It looks peculiar. But yeah, 7 mana for a 5/4. He's legendary, so that makes me respect him even though it shouldn't. Imperial Archangel, playing with this. 8 mana for a 5/8, Flying Shroud. All damage that it would be dealt to you instead is dealt to this thing. So it basically has Pariah on it. It's just kind of this weird momentum changing or changer of the game. I like that it has Shroud. That's one of the main reasons I got it. Here's some more stuff that's not in right now. Finest Hour is 5 mana for an enchantment, has Exalted, and whenever a creature you control attacks, it basically gets Relentless Assault and it gets to attack again. Pretty legit. And it only works once, so don't think that you're going to be able to do it infinite loops. I was reading on the forums and there are some cute, really fast plays that you can do. Forgot what it was. It involved a Finest Hour. I think turn 4 they played whatever turn 4 fatty is fine. The Glory Scale Viashino. And then on turn 5 played Finest Hour. So that pumped up that to a 3/3, and then I got to attack again. You know, just little cutesy stuff. You can go with that quick kill build. Kill Bill? Okay, let's get focused. Fusion Elemental's a weird one. I mean, it's 5 mana for an 8/8 with no abilities. I have lost to it before, and the art's pretty dope. I just realized that that's the picture from Mana Mastery. Look, his arm's an island. That's a volcano, mountain, forest, swampy. Is that them all? No? I've seen some people playing with these Prophetic Bolts. It's an instant. You deal 4 damage to creature or player, so it does give this deck a little bit more direct damage, which is kind of slick. And you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You put one in your hand and put the rest on the bottom. Nice little glimpse at the future, and like I said, if you got that Cascade thing out, it could be a dope combo. Right now I'm not playing with Defiler of Souls, and it's because everyone that I'm playing right now online is playing this deck, or playing some gold heavy deck, and it didn't work out. But yeah, for like tournament play, or when you're just feeling super pro, or if you're playing the campaigns, throw that in, it's nice. I passed on Elder Mastery. 6 mana enchantment, enchant creature. It gets +3/+3 flying. Whenever it hits an opponent, they discard 2 cards. It seems kind of slick, but just seems super removal baity. I don't know, but them discarding 2 cards, if it hits once, you're already getting some kind of neat card advantage. So many little weird situational onesies in this deck. You can build it so many crazy ways, I feel like. 6 mana for a 6/6 is Megalanoth, has Vigilance and Trample, and that's dope because you're going to want to use this to block. Because whenever it does block a creature, it deals damage equal to... Megalanoth deals damage to that creature's controller equal to his power. So every turn you're attacking with a 6/6 Trampler, and then since it has Vigilance, you can still block with it. God, just saying that makes me want to throw it back in. And it's done. I lost it. Does that seem smart, swapping out for a Broodmate? Everyone's running 2 Broodmates, I don't get it, man. Here's Pale Recluse, 6 mana for a 4/5, it has reach, so that can be situationally good. And then Forest Cycling and Plane Cycling for 2 each. So if you're feeling super land grabby or light on forests, consider that. It's not a powerful beast though, like this Virage the Hunter, a legendary dragon. 6 mana, 6/6 flyer. And whenever it hits your opponent, you can pay 3, and if you do, you put 6 +1/+1 counters on it. So it goes from 6 to 12 to 18 to game, somewhere around there. Pretty sweet. I mean, that's pretty much like a deal with it or die card. I do prefer that over the Channel Horde Worm. People are geeking for this, I don't even know why. 7 mana for a 6/6 Trample. And then when it hits your opponent, you can bounce something from your graveyard to your hand. It does have this pseudo-infinite feel to it, and I've encountered that once or twice to where, let's just say you're using a charm to get rid of your opponent's creature and then attack. And then you bounce that charm back to your hand from the worm. Next turn, what do? Feebly play some large creature to try to deal with this, and then you just got that infinite loop going. So maybe I need to mess around with it more and find that combo. Magister Sphinx could be in this deck. 7 mana for a 5/5 flyer, and when it comes into play, target player's life total becomes 10. The only time I've used this was playing the campaign still, and I was playing a life deck, and he got up to maybe like 30 or 40 life, and it was nice to see that drop down to 10 immediately. In that situation, this thing basically said 7 mana for a 5/5, when it comes into play, deal 30 damage to target player. But I don't know, it's kind of a weird way to look at it. There is a weird situation where if you were at 1 life, you would cast this and then do it to yourself and gain 9 life, and it might be able to save you. Okay, I passed on the Violent Ultimatum, which is kind of the dopest card in the game, so I might weasel it in. Black, red, and green, a total of, what is that, 7? But the 3 red's a little daunting. Destroy 3 target permanents. What could be more of a game changer than that? Just 3 red's pretty choppy. You can play with Conflux, and this card will confuse you. I never know what to grab yet. I'm still kind of feeling this one out. 8 mana, search your library for a white card, blue card, black card, red card, and a green card. That's 5 cards. I'm not going to make a joke about green card. You get 5 cards that you want and put them in your hand. And then just try to end the game from there. I don't even know what the best end game combo is yet, though. So maybe once I figure that out, I'll throw that card back in.
Death's Mutation's kind of lame. It's 8 mana creature removal that makes Saproling tokens. You should remember that from other decks. And here's Prince of Thralls. It's 8 mana for a 7/7, and whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard, you put that card under your control, unless they pay 3 life. Another weird situational one to where, I don't know, it reminds me a lot of Karavak the Merciless, but it's all graveyard situational, so a little sketchy about it. Okay, where were we on this side of the fence? Godsire, 8 mana. Look at that, Epic Beast. 8 mana for an 8/8 with Vigilance, and you can tap it at the end of your opponent's turn because it has Vigilance and doesn't tap to attack, to put an 8/8 Beast token into play. So deal with this instantly, or every turn there's a new stream of 8/8 Beasts. In a situation to where you need to block with it, you can block with it and then tap it to put an 8/8 Beast token into play, and it still deals its damage, so that's pretty pro. And Sphinx of the Steel Wind. God, I need to take this out compared to some of these other crazy cards. Okay, 8 mana, 6/6, flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, protection from red and green. I justified throwing this in just because that's a pretty stout combo of flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink. And then protection from red and green seemed pretty solid with all the gold decks, because there's times to where, like, if you're playing I don't know, Sepultured Strength or whatever it is, and they want to do something that's black and green to this creature, they can't because it is pro green. It's just such a legit little protection thing. I wish it had Shroud. I love Shroud in this deck. But yeah, that's my feel for it right now. If you're scared of this deck and think that you're going to get land screwed, you won't. Just clone this build. I'm not even playing with all the land grabs. Right now I took out one land grab, and then everyone seems to be either removing a Cultivate or a Rampant Growth. But try this deck out for yourself. It's like the obvious counter to weenie decks. You got Wrath of God, you got Pernicious Deeds, I got my Pyroclasm Charms, got a Lavalanche if I need to do a wipe that way. I got Savage Twisters. Oh my god, this deck is crazy. It's only been out for 24 hours, so this is all you're going to play. Because that black-blue deck, I'm calling it trash. And that's it for this vid. Thanks for watching, Phone Cats.